Let me just make sure. Checking. Welcome to the PARAcast. I'm your host, Tomas the Boss Fernandez. Joining you, not fresh, not ready for the fight, tired, pretty beaten up, morally. Well, let's say we've all had an emotional kick to the gut this week. And then some of us have had a physical kick to the gut. But anyways, we're here. We're here to inform
I feel great.
you. You do great. Good for you. You know what? Maybe I feel. You know what?
The match is over, Jared. It's like, screw you, bastard. I'll see you in 2024.
Yeah, man. I'm happy.
No, I feel better than you. In fact, if we're going to be competitive, I feel better than you. Joining me tonight, he can get you reinstated. He just needs Amazon gift cards. It's Robert Wyatt.
Amazon gift cards, access to a Grindr account that I can pin it all on you with. I mean, goodbye, Danny.
I wish Kenny was here. I had a great one for Kenny. You ask one 15-year-old out, and now you're the monster. He did her wheelchaired ass a favor. It's Jared Stepp.
How do you respond to that one?
It's kind of like my
nothing.
It's my 14-year-old double setup joke.
That was just slightly awkward.
Yeah,
reminds.
Go ahead.
No, it just reminds me of the South Park episode when Kyle goes to report to the police that his brother is being sexually molested by a teacher.
Oh yeah, and
goes,
all the police are
Wait.
What
teacher was it? Mrs.
Yeah.
Smith. Mrs. Smith. The
blonde
one?
one?
Yeah. Well, let's go over there and give him the luckiest boy in the world sticker. Nice.
What was it? So like I was sitting there and I was just thinking about this, and like I was just I have this kind of thing like this public service announcement. It's like there's many people who interact with me in my own personal life that anytime they figure out they're like, oh, you do a podcast? I said, yeah, I've been podcasting for 15 years. And they go, oh, what's the name of it? And I go, I won't tell you.
No.
I'm not telling you. Not telling you. There's so if you find out that you hop on this and then change your opinion to me 180 degrees, not my fault. This podcaster stands behind every word, but not in public.
Not my president.
I stand behind everything I say today. Tomorrow's a different story.
Yeah, I mean, technically, the way that this works, as soon as it's recorded, it's no longer stood by. So as soon as it hits digital tape, that was in the past.
As long as it's not a tweet. As long as it's not a tweet, you're safe.
Yeah, see,
that's just a pass. Anyways, the big story. Well, what should we do first? I think the big story we should talk about is the Yee-Min Lin.
UPOA.
You want to do UPOA first?
Yeah, because let's see. Which one's more enjoyable?
I think. Well, that's my thing as the host.
Depends how much you hate Asians.
You take the Yee-Min thing first, and that way we can have a positive situation for the rest of the show.
This is true, but if we do Yee-Min last, then we make the poor suckers actually like stick around. They'll just fast forward.
I don't care if they listen.
Yeah, they just need to download
listeners.
it.
I don't care.
Download, delete.
Watch. Don't worry. Just freaking download it.
100%.
That's all that matters.
If you could just keep refreshing on the YouTube, get that algorithm boosted a little bit.
Do it on Brave so they know that it thinks it's a separate download or watch.
That is why I have 5 different browsers, man.
Well, the one thing that goes
on every single one.
The thing that goes into my crazy pills topic for the pre-show segment, coming back to Patreon for you guys, was what's the point of people actually listening to the show if they don't listen to me anyway?
We listen to Tommy. We listen to you. We don't follow your sage advice. But we do hear you.
We hear you plenty. Let's talk about the cop match. The not a cop UPAOA match, whatever. Tuesday's match, Wednesday's match, the week's match. Cops using taxpayer-funded ammunition to go shoot matches. Jared, tell us about it.
So I run the Utah Peace Officer Association match, the handgun match, every year. It is actually the largest police officer only match in the nation that I know of. I've looked and I've tried to find a match that's bigger. There were some NRA matches out east that had like 180 competitors, but they've kind of died out, it seems, since COVID.
Probably
So
because
we
they
had
ran out of funds after they were buying Wayne LaPierre new suits.
exactly. So we had, I think, 234 total shooters. We had about 20 some staff, and so in total we had 200 plus cops actually come out and shoot the match. We had local cops, we had federal, we had state, we had people come from out of state, we had Californians, Nevada, Arizona. We had people from all over the place come over and enjoy the match. It was a ton of fun.
It's building steam from the previous years.
It's slowly getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It basically increases in size by about 10 to 20% every single year. And
Wow.
I actually have to turn away people. I was turning away people for about a solid 2 to 3 weeks, where people would actually call me and be like, "Hey man, I know I'm signing up late, but I didn't realize it was going to fill up. And I want to shoot the match. Is there any way I can do that?" And I'm like, "No, go away." And it was great. And then they got sad about it. And then I yelled at them. And then they said apologized. But
I have another
really
idea
good
for how to make your match, how to do that. We could still do it on a single day.
We're trying to figure out a way to keep the match growing, but also at the same time, I don't want the match to grow because we had 13 stages with 15-man squads. So that's 195 frickin' shooters in one day. We started at 8 a.m. and we ended shooting at what, probably like 4?
Yeah, it was about 4 o'clock. Yeah. Which is still really good.
It's not bad for 13 stages with 15-man squads.
Not at all.
So it was just a long day. I don't like doing 15-man stages. I prefer 12-man stages. 10 to 12, I think, is the Goldilocks number for how big a squad should be. Once it starts getting too bigger than that, you really start to become just slow. So I'd like to lower the squad count, but I'd also like to lower the stage count. But we just need to figure out a way to be able to still have that many shooters. So we're even talking about it, and we might be doing a multiple day match for next year, but I don't know. It's just going to be that's going to be next year Jared's problem. And this year Jared is just happy that it's all done. I run the whole thing. There's not a committee. There's not people really. The only person who really helped me do this was Robert, and Brett Thomas also helped quite a bit. And I did all the I designed all the stages. I got all the sponsors. I pretty much did everything to run the match. And so obviously it's a major, and it's a lot of work. And so it's a lot of fun though. The thing that rewards me is that I know a lot of these cops are getting better and more confident, and actually, like, it's surprising how good that top 10 to 20% actually are getting. They're getting very competitive. And so they're really, really fighting up there at the top for the first place. And our divisions are called Patrol Optics, and then Practical. Patrol is essentially iron sight guns, 15 rounds only, and you have to run your basic duty belt. You need a holster with active retention, like a Safariland ALS or SLS or Blade, whatever. And then Patrol Optics is the exact same thing, but you have a dot on it. And then Practical is a combination of, it's basically limited optics. That Practical is, you can shoot whatever you want in there, but it's limited optics. And then we have our sponsor / open category. And it's great because Patrol, I think, had like 30 people this year. Practical had 20, and Patrol Optics had like 160 or something. And it was just absolutely nuts how many guys are in that division, and they're all fighting. And like, when you look at the times for the scores, because it's all in practice score, they're within like half a second, and at the very, very top, they are clawing at each other. Everybody's so close. And every single year for the past 3 or 4 years, we've had a different winner, and we actually had like a different top 3 this year. And so it's fun watching the guys fight and compete. Right. And they are dragging their departments, kicking and screaming, also forward. So I also know there are a handful actually of guys who attend these matches who have been involved in shootings, and they've mentioned that it's helped them. So it makes me happy, and so it's an interesting place to be in. It's a fun match. Basically, it's created so that the cops can get practice and a unique situation where they've never done before, and it's made for in USPSA terms, it's made for a C-class shooter to come have fun. So we're not doing crazy shots. We had a couple stages where it allowed you to have a crazy shot. If you had the skill, you could take a shot at 40 or 50 yards past 2 no-shoots. But if you didn't want to, you could also just run that 40 yards and take the shot. So it was fun because we had both people. Some
I was
people.
Gonna say, did you ever find out kind of what the ratio was of who ran versus who shot?
Oh, it seemed half and half. There were a
That's
lot
awesome.
of guys who ran. There were a lot of guys who said, that's a terrible idea. I'm going to shoot from
I'm
the
not
back. And
doing
then there are
that.
guys.
Right.
Yeah. There are a lot of guys who are like, I'm going to shoot from the back. And then they whiff the hostage 2 or 3 times. And every time you shoot a hostage is a 4-second penalty, which is killer on a 15-second stage.
Mhm.
So it was a good match. I was very happy with how it ended. And then we do the cop match on Wednesday, and then the following Saturday we leave up everything, and then the following Saturday we do the not a cop match, and basically all the local USPSA IDPA guys show up and have fun. Well, not all of them. Some of them showed up.
Yeah, but you had those
fun.
guys came from Magic Valley, Idaho.
Yeah, we had a couple guys come from Idaho they traveled for the match, which made me happy. And so I'm like, good. That makes me happy that we're getting actually, word of mouth out there where we're starting to have people travel to the match.
The only thing,
was
gosh,
great.
thinking about the divisions, man, one of my biggest, I had two issues with the match, the Nautica match, but one of the issues was like I only did 2 reloads for the entire match, and I was just thinking, man, if we ran that at 15 or 16 rounds per gun, that would have been an absolute blast.
And you would have increased the time that it took to shoot the match.
Yes.
Probably by an hour and a half.
That's what it's made for. It's made for the patrol optics guys who have the 15-round mags. And so this match, low cap, is so much fun because the scoring is 3-gun scoring. So it's 2 on paper or 1 in the A, and then the entirety of the head box also counts as the A. So it's a lot of fun for a low cap standpoint because it actually gives you a lot of options. So if you're going and you're hitting a target array that has, 3 paper, 3 steel, you could go 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, and then go to 11 rounds and, be praised and great job. Or you could run into that position, do headshot, 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 or headshot, do 2 as you're entering, then headshot, headshot, and then steal, steal, steal. It opens up a lot of options.
Well, and I think that's what's very. You watch a lot of if you watch a lot of shooting videos, I think one of the things that's very interesting that you see kind of go awry is when officers in shootings have to load their pistols.
Right.
You watch a lot of these things. You'll see guys bop them in, have the magazine fall out, be riding the slide stop, be riding the magazine release. And there's
a lot of induced malfunctions.
Yes, from having that in there, and I think that's so. Not only are they having to plan the stage, but they're actually having to reload from the equipment. Because I'll tell you what, the one thing I practiced, and I didn't need to practice that much, is reloading from appendix. Because I shot the entire match in appendix. Reloading from appendix is the hardest part about appendix.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have one full hand to move the short and another full hand to grab the gun to draw the gun. But as for the appendix, you have one hand that has to do both actions to get the magazine out. And so you have to develop a foolproof method that will allow you to do it instead of having things that do not work if you're moving or whatnot. And so I think a lot of patrol officers, you kind of see when I saw some of the guys who were shot not a cop actually had their patrol belt on, is you see the very not knowing much about gear and having the flaps over the magazines, and then you see guys who know a little bit more, might have something like the S-Tax or something like that on their patrol belts. And so it's just kind of unless they ever, when it's their first match, they run at the option, they're like, oh, now I have to do this, and I don't like this. What are these guys using? They're using this.
Jared and I were talking a while ago, and I think, Jared, you said it, but it was really interesting because you can look at an officer like with their duty belt, and the way that they arrange the equipment on that belt actually speaks a lot about their proficiency shooting the gun. I mean, where they'll put those magazines in certain places because it facilitates a fast and quick reload. Whereas if you don't have that, that changes how you see things.
Yeah, the big scary is when you have the horizontal magazines with the mag pouch covering, and you're like, that's a fat fucker.
Yeah.
He has that 100%. So because it stabs me in my fat. I don't like my magazines.
Porco Rosso over there.
Oh, jeez, Porkins.
Yeah, so it was a fun time. I had a good time. Robert and everyone else in Carry Optics managed to just beat the hell out of me because I managed to do something almost wrong every single time. And then like going back and thinking about it, I was just like, so like the first stage, I literally had a dot focus on steel. And it's just like if you ever have a dot focus where you're chasing the dot around and trying to line it up on the steel instead of looking at the steel and having the dot go right to the steel. Yeah, and I just had just a bunch of freaking issues on every stage. I just could not get myself out of my own way. It's pretty
Why do you think
frustrating.
that was?
One it was doing so the stuff that I've been practicing with, I never had a problem. I never had drawing a gun when I had to do reloads. I never had to mess up the reloads. When we had to shoot the standard stage, which is like the Steel's challenge stage, I cleaned that from concealed carry, hands way away from my own shirt to draw, and 2 reloads with the shirt covering them, and switching hands. Went fantastic.
You did 1 for 1 on that.
Yeah, I mean it went fantastic.
That was nice.
Everything came together. But the idea that I have only shot 1 USPSA match this year, and then going into that, and then this does not play to Tom Nelson's skill, which is
stand and deliver.
If it's accuracy. If it's 2 on every target, then you have to flow through much faster. And so it's just like seeing Brett Thomas and Jared on the stages we got to see him flow through. Like I would shoot basically the same kind of plan as Robert would, but I would have a hiccup here or there, or I would have a failure to neutralize or something like that. And so it just became...
Tommy, I was getting so sick of you getting those FTNs because inevitably every time you got one, I'd get one as well in the same effing target.
In the same place. And so it was...
On Outhouse, you guys had the same miss.
Yeah. Yeah, it just became a thing of chasing the dot. It became a thing of, I don't know. It just became a thing of not moving as fast or thinking that you're splitting. And then I had trigger issues with my trigger, like it wouldn't break when it was all the way back, and it needed like an extra little push. And so I actually broke the gun apart today and bent the cruciform down, and now it actually breaks where it's supposed to all the time. And so it was just a ton of stuff, and it was all because I have been doing other shooting and not USPSA shooting, and now I'm
and you also
pissed because
you started the day off bad because you woke up late and you had to shit fly up there, and you stopped and grabbed me breakfast, and you're just like, oh god. And so you showed up right at like 8, and so any time when you just, because I've had matches like that where you just show up and you're frazzled.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is good. Oh, and I have to go take a dump, and then you go, and you get signed in, you finally get this, and then you have to go poop, and then as you get out of the bathroom, you go to your stage, and they're like, 5-minute walkthroughs up, first shooter, Jared Stepp. I'm like, god damn it.
Especially the porta potties that we had, because if you had to sit down on them,
my gosh,
you were touching stuff.
if you were older than 50 years old, your
testicles were touching toilet paper.
Yeah, there was no Poseidon's kiss. It was the Earth Nation took over, and there's no Water Nation in that toilet. It's bad.
I walk in that thing, I look at the toilet, and I'm like,
God
damn. I'm going over this berm.
Poop bending. The one thing is like, so like I have to take these muscle relaxers at night because my neck's so jacked up, and I got 9 shots in my neck on freaking Wednesday. But like the one thing is like I had I had the appearance of what I was doing without actually doing any of the things that I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not supposed to be target focused, supposed to be watching the dot, supposed to have a firm grip on the gun. And a lot of the working from appendix has basically worked in a bunch of bad habits in as far as presentation and drawing and actually getting a grip instead of trying to be fast that must be taken out back and shot for my own mental health. And so that's what I'll be working on. Robert.
I wasn't even going to shoot the match. I came out, so I came out and actually helped Jared with the proper cop match.
I know. Even after Yee-Min yelled at you online, you still wouldn't come shoot the match, you little bitch.
It was just weird. It was really weird. Like I was kind of like, I'm not really feeling the shooting right now. And I came out and I was like, I will come out and help you. I'll help you. And I was happy to do that because I like you and so I'm like, I will go do this and I'll be happy doing that. And then you're like, well, could you help me with the Nauticap? I'm like, sure, not a problem. I'm happy to do that as well. And then you're like, just come shoot it. Okay, fine. He's like, you can shoot with Tommy. Okay, I'll do that. And we shot it and it was fun and it's always fun. It's like every single time, like whenever I go do things in life, I'm like, I don't want to do it. And then I get there and I'm like, yeah, this is fun.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I was like watching you shoot, because I haven't shot with you in a few months, and you've been shooting pretty consistently at matches and then doing your indoor. I was just sitting there watching. It's like, gosh damn, Robert's flowing through. Robert's splitting shit, and he's flowing through, and freaking A, why can't I be as good as him right now? Like, I felt like that the whole entire day. Just watching Robert just split like crazy and just start moving through, and it was great. But what made everyone feel worse was, like, Brett Thomas had shot the match on Wednesday or Tuesday or whatever, and then was just like, I'm gonna try things different, and literally put on a freaking clinic all day. Like
Brett destroyed it.
Yes,
it was amazing.
It was like shooting fast or whatever at open paper. It's like that one thing. But he would transition to pieces of steel and knock them down instantaneously.
We need to get Brett's dad at all of his matches, and then Brett's going to do great. I think that's what it is. Brett had his lucky charm there, and his dad was there.
And then his girlfriend brought him Chick-fil-A later on.
I know.
It was just the Brett Thomas show. It was like, look at me now, everybody.
Holy crap.
Look at me.
No, Brett, so we had two shooters from Magic Valley, right? It was guys from Idaho. But apparently one of them's an open GM, and one is a COM, I think he said. Yeah. But they were both killing it. They were both very, very good shooters. It was actually, when you see scores in the tablet and you're like, 12 seconds.
That can't be right.
Yeah. I don't think that. Like, do you know who this guy is? No. Do you know who this guy is? Nobody knows? Oh, Steve.
Why in the fuck is Steve Kosky?
Decline?
Yeah.
So, what are
weird.
You're talking about scores in times.
Okay. So we saw his score of 12 seconds on this one stage. I'm like, God damn, I did that in 14, and I felt like I maybe left half a second on the clock. So we were like, is this a messed up score? I don't know who this guy is. And so I wander over there and I watch him. I'm like, nah, this dude knows what he's doing.
This guy's shredded.
He knows what he's doing. Yeah, this guy's fucking killing it. And so I was like, wow. And so I went and talked to him. And he's like, yeah, we heard about the match. We always come down and shoot Utah State. And so we heard about this, and it sounded like it was going to be fun. And so they came down, and they did really well. But Brett beat him. Brett
he
really
destroyed
did
the world.
Put a god tier match. Like, so Brett's time on Tuesday was 25 seconds slower than his time on Saturday. Like, I increased by about 5 or 6 seconds. Steve really wants to get in on this. He keeps
this ain't happening. We've already clapped this thing in. It ain't
I don't know what to do. But so I was really happy to see other people there, but I was also really happy that because you know how it goes when sometimes ringers come in from out of state and they come to beat up on the locals. Yeah. So I was very happy and I'm not saying that Jesse was his name. Jesse did that because he was a good dude. I really liked him, and he was a hell of a shooter. But I was happy to see that one of our local Slipsa guys held the flag and kept it up.
100%.
Brett absolutely destroyed it.
Well, I would see a good run, and I was not sitting there thinking, "Oh, there's 2.5 seconds left on the meat of that bone," and Brett would go find it.
Yeah,
Brett would go find it.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple stages where I did it in like 10 or 11, and I'm like, that's solid. And then Brett did one in 9, and then Brett did one in 8, and I was like, God damn!
What is this? What is this?
Holy shit!
It was absolutely
like he
crazy.
Destroyed. I would have liked to have seen some of those because he absolutely melted a couple stages down. So I was really happy that Brett won Not a Cop and redeemed himself from losing to me on Wednesday on the main match. And so it was funny because I joked.
Jared had to get that main match in there.
Decline.
So, all right. So let's hop in.
It was pretty funny though, because the last stage, it was our stage 1. That was the one that had the Texas Star, and it was kind of crazy because we were looking at the competitor, and so we knew, and it kind of had updated weird, so it looked like Jared had to put on a solid run if he was going to win the match. And not Jared, excuse me, Brett. So I'm talking to him and I'm like, you realize you got to shoot this thing. You got to shoot this thing well. And he's like, yeah, I just looked at competitor. And I'm like, okay, so, you going to do it? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And God dang, man, he goes, I mean, you're starting that tank trap. Timer goes off. He goes bolting down there, and he just hammers that paper. Tink, tink, tink on the steel. Transitions hard over, and he just takes that Texas Star down, swings the gun over, and he finishes the stage. And you're like, son of a bitch. I mean, like, as soon as he hit that Texas Star, like, he's won this match. It was that dominant. It was so impressive.
Yep. No, it was fantastic to watch. Anyways.
It was good.
Bad news.
It was a fun stage. It was a fun match. I mean, I was happy that you four, Brett, Ty. Well, you had a really good squad. Wasn't Banks on your squad too?
No,
Banks was on a different squad.
Oh, right. He was on the Atlas squad. Holy crap. That entire squad all had Atlases, and it was fun because I had never gotten to see like the was it Artemis, I think, is the sight block one?
Yeah, that's the one that he just got, yeah.
Yeah, so I was playing with his Artemis, and then one of the other guys had an Athena, then there was an Erebus, then there was another Erebus, then there was Chaos, then there was another Chaos, and I'm just like, holy shit, this is like, you guys got $40,000 worth of guns right here.
Yeah.
And so it was fun playing with those a little bit. I wanted to actually shoot them because I wanted to compare, but I didn't get the chance.
Yeah, he let me play with it in the safe area. Oh, speaking of safe areas.
That's a nice gun.
Jared and I, we had to go get some tape. So we grab it, we walk into the classroom, and over by the jail cell, there's this dude that's just futzing around with a gun, not in the safe area, just on a table. And like immediately I'm like, oi, and Jared's like, what are you doing? And he goes over there. The guy's like,
it doesn't have a barrel.
Doesn't have a barrel in it.
No.
That's
not everybody.
Well,
it had a barrel in it.
The young kid who went 220 and then won that stage. His first thing he did when we get to the match, he literally takes his gun out, puts it on a random table, and starts adjusting his belt. And I was just like, put the gun in the safe area. Then his friend, a different person, grabs the gun and tosses it on the safe area table. I'm just like, all right, whatever.
One of my favorite things I've seen in 3-gun is, so you know how a lot of times in 3-gun you dispose of your rifle or shotgun into a barrel or some sort of, dump. And then while you're shooting, you have people filling in behind you, taking the gun, unloading it, pointing it up in the air, and then they walk it off and they put it over on the loading table, on the safe table. It's very common. But there's one time I saw a guy who did it with a pistol. He just walked up, grabbed the pistol, unloaded it, pointing straight down. Then he locked it open, just pointed it straight up and walked off with the pistol. I'm like, I mean, I guess that's the same thing.
We have a place for those. Well,
there was a match. I think it was one of the national matches for USPSA where you had it, because in 3-gun you can look through your optic, and it's only been recently that they allowed you to look through the optic.
Yeah.
And Troy McManus is
right.
Yeah, he's like the RM of it, and he's catching people left and right. And he's like DQ him, DQ him, DQ him, and towards the end of the match, it was just like he would just end up looking at him and be like, no, cut that out, because I mean it's like at some point you just can't stop people from doing stuff like that. It was a dumb rule.
Speaking about dumb rules, all right, let's get into the beef of the subject. Robert,
that's what I was calling a transition.
Yeah,
the meat and potatoes.
Let's give the rundown. So at the end of last week's show, Robert brought up a situation in which a CRO somebody had a problem with the CRO, or wanted to have a problem with the CRO, did not communicate with the CRO. Range master did not communicate with the CRO about said problem. Tried to get other CROs and ROs to complain about that CRO, and none of them would do it. And so that range master filed a complaint against that CRO. That went up to DNROI. And that person had their RO certification revoked, which happened to be the president of USPSA, Yee-Min Lin, who was a frequent guest on this show. And because he no longer holds an RO certification, he can
no longer be on the show. No, just kidding.
He can no longer be USPSA president.
Yeah.
And so where are we now?
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun.
Well, so I mean, this all happened, and I kind of alluded to it last week that it was going on. Well, so Danny Minter, by all accounts, you can actually see all this. If you look up online under the work records, you can actually see who the RMs are. And so Danny Minter and Carl Schmidt were the two RMs at the Roadrunner match. And I actually know Carl Schmidt was on another element of it. So it was Danny Minter who is the one who ended up filing the complaint, which is interesting because Danny Minter has never liked Yee-Min, and how do you say this? I mean, it has been rumored that he may or may not have taken a piece of paper and wrote down all the bad things Yee-Min ever did and took it to every single match during the previous election, trying to convince people to not vote for Yee-Min. Can't confirm whether that's true or not.
Allegedly, that is.
But we'll just say allegedly. So he's always had a beef against him. Now, mind you that last year, Yee-Min also worked on the same stage, and Minter was the same CRO, and also that Yee-Min I looked it up. He has worked now 47 major matches without an incident report. That's more than most people will even shoot in their entire career in USPSA. And he's worked these matches all over the country. And Yee-Min's he is known far and wide as like the shooter's RO. And where that gets really interesting is Troy McManus and NROI, like some of the people in NROI, they don't like you to be a shooter's RO. They want you to be a notch in the gun belt kind of RO. Basically, use the rule book to get people out of the game.
A Steve Koski, if you will.
Some might say that. Old Steve Koski. He's gotten much better in his younger
2005 Steve Koski.
Probably fair.
Yeah, the rules are the rules.
The rules are the rules. And so it's really interesting to me because they go through and they actually file this incident report, and the understanding is that the committee, basically they'll pick 3 RMs, and they'll go through and they'll review all the information. And in the process of doing that, they actually recommended a lesser punishment. But Troy, in his infinite wisdom and hatred for Yee-Min, because by the way, he hates Yee-Min, said, nope, I'm going to actually escalate this thing, and I'm going to make this the level of punishment that would revoke his CRO certification, which, oh, by the way, also happens to make it so he is now ineligible to be president per the USPSA bylaws. Doesn't seem sketchy at all, unless you consider it from the standpoint that maybe Troy is looking at the upcoming election and how
In
you
July,
have to
correct?
submit. Yeah, you have to
Yes.
submit your petition to run for USPSA election. And since he doesn't like him, if he just goes and he makes it so that he can no longer be president,
And stonewalls
boy,
the
that's
certification.
really good
Well,
timing.
Well, in stonewalls the certification of it. So there's definitely some dirty knife politics here. Because the one thing that's kind of interesting is also on Monday morning, NROI put out an email saying, "Hey, just a little heads up. Here's a little letter, just about how some people could be have
No
their
reason.
certifications removed. Like we removed it like on Saturday or Sunday, but like here's the thing. Like this thing happens every once in a while.
So
just
this
a
happened.
heads up.
So Tommy, he was removed on Tuesday, and they put out the letter. I think they put
Was it
that letter out
Wednesday?
on Wednesday.
Wednesday. The
Yeah.
day of.
After all the blowback starts, and then Troy's like, "Oh crap, maybe I done fucked up, Aaron."
Yeah.
Which he did, because in the process of this, Troy, being the dunderhead that he actually is, didn't even think to take the next step and say, "Hey, is there any other board members that don't have a range officer certification?" Well, fortunately, we have the intrepid reporters over at Practical Shooting Insights, and they happen to be like, "Excuse me, sir, there is a one Mel Rodero of Area 4 who also doesn't have a certification, and yet he is still on the board." And that becomes really interesting, because all of a sudden, this thing that happened to Yee-Min that they were quietly hoping that would just blow over, because Yee-Min's a no good, dirty RO who he doesn't toe the company
who won a
line.
vast
He only does the
majority
good
of the
things for the
vote
company.
of the members.
Yeah,
Won a vast majority of the
never
vote of the
mind
membership.
that he's the popularly elected president. Never mind that he does more for the organization. He works more matches. When was the last time you saw a president of USPSA actively working matches? It doesn't happen.
It's pretty open and transparent. Comes on
Yeah.
this show, talks about the issues that are going on respectfully, and does it. Goes on Instagram, talks about board meetings.
Oh, but we can't have that, because he's using his personal account to do it. And look, here's the deal. I mean, if you're being fair about the whole situation, there are things. Yee-Min did things to get this happen. This wasn't like it just came out of the blue. But as I understand it, basically it was like he failed to read the written stage brief correctly. And so if you have ever worked a major match and you've seen what now passes for a written stage brief, it's complete garbage. And it was written by somebody who is either an idiot or an illiterate son of a bitch. But either way, they're terrible. And they want the written stage brief. What's that?
I write the stage briefs.
Well, because you write them for the UPOA match, which makes sense.
Well,
I'm sad.
But the way that they write them is like rounds 32, position steal 3. Like just horribly like non. It doesn't flow. It doesn't make any sense.
It's obviously that's not even the problem. Because
Yeah.
if that was the problem, there would be more people having their certifications pulled.
Oh,
Right.
it's funny that you say that, Tommy, because if we applied these same standards to any of the ROs, I guarantee you go to every major match that has been held this year, last year, and then all the years previous, and you're going to find a long list of ROs that aren't doing things correctly. But fortunately, we have a solution for that. Do you know what that solution is? We have range masters. The duty of the range master is to manage all of the ROs and CROs on their stage while the match is happening. What that means is the range master will go to the CRO and he'll say, "Hey, I noticed you're doing these things.
We need this done.
We need you to solve this. I'm now talking to you and I'm saying, here's the problem. Let's find a solution and let's move forward."
But
That's the way a person does it. It's really hard if you're a range master with an agenda, which is exactly what you had here. There is no doubt that Yee-Min should have been more professional. He is the president of USPSA, and by gosh, he should act like a goddamn leader. I mean, he should avoid using like the range bro kind of things. Don't be dicking around. Have fun with people. Absolutely. But as a leader, you should hold yourself to a higher standard. Now, does anything that he did, does that come up to the level of having your CRO card revoked? Absolutely not. But they did it because they had an agenda, and they were, by God, they were going to make that agenda go through. They wanted him gone, and they figured out how to do it.
can I ask, because I don't know the claims of all the stuff that Yee-Min supposedly did or didn't do. Like, what type of stuff are they talking about? Like, he could have been more professional.
Talking during
so,
like the make ready.
So he, if he told somebody to make ready and somebody asked a question, he would answer the question. That's not professional. He not reading the written stage brief correctly. Apparently eating while actually running shooters, because heaven forbid that our ROs actually eat. I mean, the stages may be backing up and they may not get any food, but if they try and eat and get a quick bite while they're making shooters ready, I can't have that.
Well,
the biggest thing was that when he'd have some of the people that he knew more familiarly, he would call Alpha Delta Alpha Dix, which I'll be honest with you, it's pretty freaking hilarious. He shouldn't have done it. He shouldn't have. Although I would just say, if you ever happen to be in a major match and you get a Delta and you see Troy, maybe we now call it Alpha Dick from now on. Because I mean, we should have this remembrance. So from now on, we should have the Delta represent the biggest dick in the organization, Troy McManus.
Well, this is so his crime is treating it like a club match.
Functionally, yeah.
Yeah,
that's too bad. Well, that's honestly like so obviously I run my Nauticop match very different and the UPOA match very different. I mean, my stage briefs are my general shooter brief in the very beginning of the morning is probably one of the most unique shooting briefs in the sport.
No butt stuff.
But
yeah.
I mean, I literally talk in front of the entire group. And hey, look, guys, we're not trying to screw over anybody. We're not trying to F anybody in the butt, okay? We're trying to have fun. If it looks like it, if you have to take out a card to check, give it to them.
Yep.
So, but that's actually one of the reasons why guys love the match is because you're up there joking around, having fun, being real and being you. And that's actually why I like Yee-Min, because if you talk to Yee-Min, he's a real human being. You don't talk to him and he's like, well, according to this blah 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 blah.
Well, the other part too is like even
and it could be chat GBT generated if you're talking to some of these big dick ROs at the very, very top of the org.
But
whereas
it's not,
you talk to some of the local guys, they're cool and they're fun.
It's not like Yee-Min is disparaging at the same time.
Right, he's
fun to be around, but if he has an issue or a conflict or USPSA has something going on, even in private conversations, he does not come out there and just sit there and say or air the dirty laundry of the organization.
Right.
Like
and there's a RO hat where you have to be personable and you have to joke around and you have to say hi and you have to swear, because if you don't do those things, people will think that you're hiding shit. But if you're joking around being you, then everybody's going to no, that's just Yee-Min. That's just Jared. Jared's just like that. Jared runs around and swears and says terrible, racist, crazy things just because that's Jared's joking style.
That's how he copes.
Yeah, that's
with life.
my dark humor, and that's how I get through hosting these matches. That and copious amounts of rye whiskey. And so it's just it makes me sad when you see guys who are getting punished for these sort of things, because I think that actually is creating humanizing the president's position versus being the man in the tower who just looks down on everyone and imperiously I'm better than thou type of thing.
Well, it's
right.
It's been pretty clever. Like, so one, you have a candidate who won a vast majority of the votes. Two, you have a board. In different aspects of the board, and different people in the board have been willing to excise political opponents or critics of them, let's say in the recent past. And so this is the other thing.
Can I just say, Tommy? I mean, you called all this, like way back when, like with Steger and Derek and all that stuff. You called all of it.
Tommy with his crazy pills.
It was I mean, I'm telling you, you were right, and that's the thing that really. That's the thing that really kind of kicked me in the teeth this week was It was like all these things that I believed, that I was like, okay, yeah, these guys are a bunch of assholes and they deserve to get kicked out. You know, they're kind of right, but they're just a bunch of assholes. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute. It's not like that at all. Yeah, I mean, they had a caustic style, but they were right. And the stuff they're complaining about was right. And you have this gut check moment of like, I'm wrong. And you have to realize that you were wrong about something, and that sucks sometimes, but you have to admit it. And you were right. I was wrong.
Even if these guys were wrong in their criticism, what rule allows them to be tossed out? Like it irks me to no end. That literally the example of like shitpost 431. Okay, shitpost 432, you get tossed, and it's just like when you have, well, let's see, when an organization is captured by people who seek their own interest over anything else, and they get a slight majority, watch the depravity that goes forth from that. And when people literally look for it is I'll show you show me the man and I'll find the crime. So they literally sat there and they took someone like Yee-Min and find out what is the way that we can excise him from the organization in time so that he can't run in June. Like maybe we'll fight him, 2-3 years down the road. But
that's literally what happened, Tommy, was they figured out a way to get him out of there because they didn't want that kind of person in power when you have the now Area 6 and Area 8 election, and then next year Area 5, which if it goes through the way that all of the howlers and all those guys are saying that it's going to go through, you're going to see a vast change in the makeup of the organization, and the old guard is suddenly going to be in the minority. And the things that they allowed to push through, like this idea that like the same 8 people are sitting on the same committees determining where the finances is and how much this person should be paid or what this happens. And that's the hardest thing about this whole situation is they see all this power, and they have like all the power, they have all the finances, they have all this stuff, and they're like, somebody's going to come in and they're going to suddenly take that power away from them. I don't
even think it's about taking that power away.
I think it is.
I think it's about the exposure of mismanagement.
I would also say that too.
Believe me, you can have people decide not to do any more wrong things. But what they really don't like is getting captured or caught for the things they've already done.
Yeah. Well, I think that's any job where if you have, a culture of ineptitude, and then you have some new person who comes in and just starts fucking rocking it, and everybody's like,
correct.
This guy's making us look like shit.
Yeah.
This guy's making us look bad.
Yeah.
Let's take him out.
Well,
back
it's not
the Jesus way.
Yeah.
It's not even that. Well, like it is not even somebody new or something like that, but it is when people are elected to these positions, they generally have a lot of time in the organization and understand how things should work. And then they go there, and I'm not saying that it happens, but there is it does not pass the smell test that everything is ran above board.
Well, Tommy, that was the case because when it was found out that Mel Rodero, and I'm just let me go on record saying this.
Mel Rodero should still be an Area 4 director.
I understand that, but I'm saying he's a good dude.
Yeah.
He got caught up in this. Okay. Now, is he an RO per the bylaws? Absolutely not. But if it hadn't been for him getting caught out, this wouldn't have come out. Where this has gotten really, really bad is the board of directors said, hey, it's okay for you to take out Yee-Min. You guys can have him. He's your sacrificial lamb. But we want Barabbas. I mean, Mel Rodero.
Well, correct.
That's really what it comes down to.
I really like the Jesus connotations here.
We're keeping this one going.
Well,
right?
Liking it.
Well, like,
but that's the thing, Tommy. Though it's
Yee-Min, Yahweh, same thing.
Yeah, they basically circled around Area 4 and said, "Hey, we know that you had every opportunity under the sun to get your RO card. We know that you went on vacation when you could have gone to an RO class. We understand this thing happened with your mom, and truthfully, that's terrible. Truthfully, that is terrible. But he had all the opportunities under the sun to get that RO card, but he didn't. Now, here's the problem. Is the board of directors, they did a big group hug, and they're like, it's okay, Mel. We're going to give you an extra 30 days to get your RO card. Yee-Min, fuck you.
Well, I do
uncool.
not know the level. I do not know everyone's personal character on the board. I spent zero time with them. But there is the thing of even if people are not a part of the cabal, there is always moves to get them to be part or at least look away. Now, so like you guys talking about the Jesus thing, I literally brought this up to Alex, is like the one thing that is a corrupting influence that can kill the savior of the world is people turning a blind eye or being morally corrupt in organizations. It is literally it is.
We're getting canceled.
Yeah, we're off, everyone. There you go.
We really don't mean that.
But like the cabal of people, or even the people that even know better, at turning away or looking in the other direction is what brings us. So, anyways, we're not turning.
Tommy, that's actually a really interesting point, because there are people on the board right now that are good people. There really are.
Yeah.
Like Area 3, Scott Arnberg, Frank Rizzi, Ted. For all that people don't have as much crap as Ted gets. I mean, Ted, out of what is he, Area 8? He's actually a pretty good dude. Rick Steele of 5. A lot of these guys are really good dudes. There's people on that board that arguably shouldn't be on that board because it's a power trip, and those people need to be minimized through either shifting the majority away from them or outright, voting them out. And that's the problem that we have. It's with everything in there. It is hard to get somebody, because think about it right now. Would you want to be an area director for USPSA? Hell no.
I do not believe it takes to the level of voting people out to make them do the right thing.
I do.
I think it takes a matter of transparency and light on their actions to make people do the right thing. People do the wrong thing in the secret, and they go to ground and they shut up because they do not want to have to confront what's been done. And that is why you just drag them into the light and watch how straight and narrow things get ran after that point.
But if there's nobody to drag them into the light, what
correct,
do you do?
Correct. Well, I'm not opposed to voting people out. I don't know any of these people as far as I can throw them. And what people's public faces and what people's private faces are two completely different things, or what they're willing to do, or what they're trying to get other people to do to compromise themselves equally with them. So whatever, that's the part of organizations. But it is very clear that this organization lets
corruption run rampant.
Well, corruption or political malfeasance to go through in there and try to clean it up.
Old people are gonna old.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the things
this sounds buggered up, but I mean, all the old white men. That's the game that they've been doing for forever, man.
Well, the other part is
we have that problem right now, and like some of the local organizations for cops, you have these old dudes who are in charge, and they're doing this squirrely shit, and everybody's like, "Why are we doing this?" And then the old guys are like, "Cause it's always been that way. We have to do it that way." And then, well, no, we don't. It's 2023, bro. We don't need to do that.
Well, the closer you get to
these fights.
The closer you get to retirement and not having the job anymore, or being pushed away from us, the more that you sit there and you hold on to it. But anyways, stuff we can do about it. We have a form letter that'll be in the comments of the YouTube section, and then on the podcast, you can copy and paste that and send it to your area directors. And it's very simple. We would
don't send it just to your area director. Send it to board, BOARD, at USPSA.org. That goes to all of them.
Yes.
And that's what you need to do. It needs to go to every single one of them. And honestly, don't just copy paste the form letter. Put your own information in there, because anytime you just send a form letter, they always just get ignored. So copy it, use it as a template to put your own information in there, and tell these guys that you expect better of them. And then here's the other thing.
Do better.
Do better. Yeah, it's almost like a UPS sticker. But
from Big Tech's Ordinance.
That was cool. But here's the thing: Yee-Min has got to he's got to file an appeal, and I understand that he's already done that. So the thing that's got to happen is his appeal needs to happen before. I think it's May 1st is the deadline to submit your petitions to run for USPSA president. And if the organization does not hold that before that date, then there's a severe problem. And right now, as it is, there are petitions going around the country. I know of 3 different places around the country where people are signing the petition. In fact, I made people at the Not a Cop match sign my petition to give him enough signatures so that he could submit that to run for USPSA president.
Great job checking in, people, Robert.
I did my best.
The one thing is that
I checked in all the important people.
Even if
we got derailed so hard.
If you're listening to this and it's the 28th, feel free to copy the form letter and send it in. Every voice, everything that they have matters. But the one thing is we have to challenge them on why certain people on the board are allowed to hold their positions and Yee-Min is not. How many people have had their RO certifications revoked? If there's been 175 people over the past 5 years that have had their certifications revoked, because every time it gets brought up, this is what happens, then okay, well, maybe there's a path. But I'm guessing that it's far less than that.
It was like, what was it, last year? God, somebody was telling me last year up at Area 1 in, was it Idaho or whatever, there was a range master that pointed their gun, like, at somebody.
Nice.
And then this was like during the staff match or something like that. And then when they came over and they asked about it, I mean, they lied about it. They're like, no, I didn't do it. But then it's like, no, there's witnesses. They say you did it. And then finally they go and like fess up. What happens to that? It was on accident. Master? Yeah. I mean, if a range master doesn't uphold like the values and principles that they set forth in the range officer creed that Troy McManus claims that he holds in such high regard. If like the head of DNROI sends a threatening email to Timmy and says, if I find any stickers on a porta potty, I'm going to DQ you, even though you may or may not have done it. If these people won't be held to the highest of standards, why are we holding other people? I mean, what historical analog exists to demonstrate that they are holding their own people to the same standard they're now demanding of everybody else? And the reality right now is they don't.
Well, and not everybody else, just the people that they don't like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is 100% like rules for thee, but not for me. Because they're all fucking corrupt, and nobody holds Troy in check.
What is it? Old white people.
The comment.
Yeah, the fat old white people.
I forget who made the quote, but it was, "For my friends, everything. For everyone else, the law."
Yeah, that is literally Troy McManus, and it blows my mind that you have this organization where the head of NROI, Troy McManus, holds the sole power to basically remove a sitting USPSA president that he doesn't like. Outside of the recommendation of the investigation committee, he has that power. Who does Troy report to? Who holds him accountable? Right now, there is nobody. Troy does whatever the hell he wants, and when he does something that's wrong, when he goes and he lies at Area 3 about a stage that should be thrown out, and he's like, well, it's because it's already been shot. That's why we're not going to throw it out. When he won't hold his own people accountable, when he won't hold himself accountable, how do we as an organization hold him accountable? We can't remove him. We don't have that power.
Correct.
Okay, and that's the problem with USPSA right now. Is nobody is watching the watchers.
Correct. And
don't January 6th me, bro.
Right.
Well, then the only thing, if this thing does not go in the way that we would like it to go, the only way that you could effectually hurt the organization is through loss of monetary value, which becomes a question for another time, whether or not this goes through or not, or whether or not people want to renew their USPSA memberships for a year or so.
Right.
So,
well, I have to renew my CRO cert here in the next couple days. And if I take a step back, if I just take a step back for a second, USPSA is us. We are USPSA. It's not these people in some far-off capital that don't care anything about us. We're what makes this thing great. We're the ones that are putting the matches on the ground. We're the ones that are giving like so much of our time and energy and financial to actually build these things for something else, somebody else to love. We do this. It's not them. The area directors, even like me as a section coordinator, they don't help us. USPSA as an organization does not do anything for the local level. And we have to remember that. But if we want this organization to be something, then we as local people actually have to act on that. Correct. And that does mean, we still have to be like ROs. That means we have to show up and run our local shooters. We have to help our local stuff. But nationally, fuck them all.
Well, this is when my point would be is like it's almost made the argument for the exact opposite. Is like we are perfectly capable of running matches and putting matches on for a limited period of time until the situation clears itself up.
Yeah.
It's like if we want to have outlaw matches in certain areas instead of your weekly USPSA match for a limited period of time to starve the organization, like whatever. Like this talk on a public forum, like this is actually hurting the monetary value of USPSA. So whatever, my membership gets revoked.
The stock prices are going lower.
Well, here's if you're a match director and you historically run level 2 matches, if you want to hurt the organization, all you have to do is run a level 1. Now, what you're going to have to do is explain to the people why your level 1 is just as good as a level 2 without the hassle of the organization.
Yep.
Okay, because people say, "Oh, it's a level 1. I'm not going to pay $175 for a level 1 match." But if you're like, "Look, it's got the same prize table, it's got the same trophies and awards. All we're doing is not sending the money to the organization."
Yep.
Wait, you have to send money for a level 2?
Oh yeah.
Why?
Because they got to get paid.
Yep.
That's dumb.
Speaking about getting paid, head on over to Dominate Defense. Pay Jason some money. Get the best competition belt in the industry. You can hook up a fast holster to that. Check out why am I blanking my mind?
Fastholsters.com.
Not fastholsters.com. Oh my gosh. Precision Holsters. Precisionholsters.com. Just a fast holster. Fantastic holster. And Rune Tactical. I was many a times I started with this gun with 25 rounds and finished with 1 left in the gun, and that's all thanks to Rune Tactical and their base pads. So check them out, Rune Tactical. Use promo code for all 3 of those fantastic places.
Yesterday at the match,
save 10%.
I'm like, I got 25 rounds of the gun. I'll be good. And so I draw the gun, run over, shoot some stuff,
make up
shoot
3.
some stuff
make
more,
up. Give me a
makeup, get to the end piston, bang, bang, click, click, click. Ah, shit.
It's done.
And that Rune Tactical follower didn't help me.
I will say that Dominant's always sponsored the cop match, so that's always a big thank you to them. They throw us a bunch of free belts, which is cool, and they normally come out, but they couldn't make it this year, and so thank you to Jason.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Jason's a good dude.
He is fantastic guy. Questions?
One big question: is everyone switching to limited optics?
No,
yes.
Gay. No.
We are all swapping to the big gay. It's going to be great. We have flags. Come have fun.
I found out that LOK Grips makes a big old heavy brass magwell. So yeah, I mean we got to add more weight to this chonky boy. I don't know.
It is very funny of the inclusion of magwells with everything nowadays, and I think. Well, this goes to the cannibalization of CEO. Is just that people are going to sit there and they're going to people like to spend money on this thing. I mean, what Benjamin Banks, a fine example. He's got all the CZ Shadow 2s on, and then he's like, "I'll get an Artemis." Well, I shoot, and then
Artemis was so nice though.
And then you have the logic. Well, I shoot some 3-gun sometimes, and then well, maybe I'll shoot a little limited.
I've told rational lies as well, and Andrea has never once believed them, but she still lets me keep buying guns.
So it becomes a weird thing. Like I would very much like every person to stay in the carry optics. I will do my best to stay in the carry optics. I mean, but I'm only a $25 Magpul magazine well away from sitting there and shooting in carry optics. So limited optics. So it definitely becomes.
I'll let you borrow my Combat Master 1 match, and you'll have fun.
No, it's fine.
That'd be fun.
I'll keep this. I'll keep this Frankenstein.
You could wear a suit.
John Wick it up.
You know, Dave Blanton has made a point a lot. God damn it, I did it again. Sorry, some guy
On the internet.
I've never heard of him on the internet.
A lot of bad takes.
Yeah,
but he's the only one with the big dad energy.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. He made a comment a while ago, and it's always kind of stuck with me. I mean, with what everything happened to CO, like just allowing more and more heavier weights, bigger mags, all that sort of stuff, it feels like limited optics is the acknowledgement of what carry optics should be. And if we say that limited optics,
very limited difference between the two of them.
No, if we say that limited optics is this kind of division, right? Put all the shit on your gun division, then potentially it allows us then to go back and say, let's rewrite carry optics and make it an actual carry optics.
I feel like I'm taking fucking crazy pills.
Tom, you've never said that before.
I've never said anything, an argument about weight or magazine capacity.
You've never said that.
Never did anything like that, no?
No, you say things. We just don't listen. And then we're like, why didn't Dad tell us? Dad did tell you. I wasn't listening to him, that Dad.
Oh, my hell.
No, but that's his argument. But fundamentally, the difference between limited optics and carry optics doesn't exist right now. It's the same thing.
One's cooler.
Well, like the slip says, like, hey, we should do a classifier match, like just an all classifier match on May 1, so that people could get a limited optics rating just right away. 6. I'm not really in favor of that now because it sends money to the organization, but that's a conversation that's being had. And so some people were asking me, would you shoot this? And I'm like, yeah, I'd shoot it. I'd shoot it just to get the classification to show up. And they're like, well, what are you going to shoot? Same gun. I'm not going to do anything different. I mean, the Shadow 2 in my hand, the Shadow 2 is a better gun than a 2011 because the mag release is where I want it to be. And by the time you get through the double action,
the thing
it feels just as good as the 2011.
The trigger pulls on those things are just phenomenal, and Robert's gonna has no take up or whatever, just breaks. But here's the one thing is like, I would rather all of them have them being carry optics or make carry optics something completely different, like what was being said. But the idea that we needed a limited optics, when you sit there and you see all the new shooters and you see an entire squad with 2011 type staccatos or
holy moly,
platypi.
Yeah, everything out there, we've entered the point where that is what every gun is. There's all these manufacturers, they're making them with 320 mags, the Platypus with the Glock mags, not to mention everyone with the 2011 mags. Bull Armory has their own type of mag setup. This is the gun of the current generation.
Yeah,
and it needs a home in USPSA. I just hope that limited optics remains a provisional division, and then in a few years we actually just cram all these things into one fantastically populated division and let people sort themselves out.
Question.
Yeah.
Somebody at the match was saying that the new limited optics classifiers will be based on the open scoring. Is that, like, they said it's going to be the same scores as the open classifiers, or is it going to be like some conglomeration of that and carry optics, or how do they determine that? I don't know.
That's a great question. Jake Martins actually, he put together some numbers on it that I heard. That's what I heard initially, was that it was going to be on open, but maybe they're changing it or something like that.
I'm not a smart man, but I know what major hit factor is.
Right.
Wouldn't that just absolutely trash? Like, you wouldn't, like, single stack in production, like single stack major versus production or single stack minor. You look at that, and the classification scores for that are, you can easily print up on some of those classifiers with major scoring a much higher hit factor. Not to mention,
well, especially on classifiers, it's typically 5 to 10% of a bump with major.
Even with limited, like you want to do it, you would have to do it with carry optics. Like, I don't know if like
So
that's a great
I don't
question.
know.
I really don't know, man.
because I'll
Let's ask the president.
yeah, the former.
Hey, Ted Murphy.
That's the former. Anyways,
No, I meant Joe Biden.
no, he's got no answers. Just to put a shotgun out the door and fire two
the only
blasts.
thing Joe Biden's gonna tell you is
I
that he
like
likes
ice
chocolate ice
cream.
cream and wants
I
to
like
sniff
ice
your
cream.
kids.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, old white men.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Admittedly, I don't know if I would prefer the old white men or the young men that haven't figured out if they are men. We're all screwed.
The only good thing that I've taken out of the entire transgender movement is I can say F that bitch, and I'm still right 100% of the time. Thank you for listening, downloading, and subscribing. Thanks for sharing a friend. Remember, you guys have the form letter. You can edit it up as you like. If you do not have the time, please send it in anyway. Let your voice be heard in this situation.
Yeah,
you
please contact your area directors.
Tell
Tell them this is ridiculous.
People you know, everyone is one step closer to Bandsville.
Yep.
So keep that in mind. Let your voices be heard, even if you didn't vote for Yee-Min. We're losing people in the sport because of what they say or their actions, which are not villainous or they're just transparent. So
the doomsday clock approaches midnight.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
do the best you can. Thank you for downloading. Thank you for listening, subscribing. For Jared Stepp, Robert Wyatt, I'm Tom Nelson. Bid you peace, love, and souls. We depart into the open waters of the sea of life on a little tugboat we like to call the PARAcast.
Good night, everybody.
Doot doot.